My name's Sterling Rates. My address is 6156 Wilson Road in Fruitport, Michigan 49415. And I'm the CEO of a new company called Blu Muskegon, which we fall under this Atlantis Blue logo. So first and foremost, I'm thrilled to have everybody here because you guys have probably heard a lot about our project, but we haven't had the opportunity to meet just yet. This project has been going on for about 4 or 5 years, actually. So when Atlantis Blue first came to the county, we looked at a bunch of the land that was out here. And us here in Muskegon County, we have such an awesome asset with the wastewater treatment facility that's over there. And one of the best use cases that we were able to find for that is this land-based aquaculture. So it's basically fish farming. And the best way to describe this is if you have it's basically just a giant warehouse. You have a bunch of, we call them raceways, that go all the way down the warehouse. And so we can raise fish from basically eggs all the way through to maturity. And then we can do some fish processing right there. This is steelhead fish I'm talking about. And we can do the processing right there and then sell them off to Meyer or Spartan Nash or Costco, companies like that. So we're basically trying to raise fish from eggs all the way to the processing, package them up and send them out to the food processors, right? Over the last 4 years, we got all the way down to doing our business model. And this thing cost $175 million to make. And we said, all right, we got to pump the brakes here, right? So what we've done in the last couple of years is reduce the scale of this facility from what was going to be originally 7,000 tons of fish per year, 7,000 tons of fish per year that we were going to raise and process. That was going to require about 10 million gallons of water per day. So there would be no facility like this in the entire country. And this is a concept that actually is pretty well understood out in like the Nordic countries. But what they do is they put these facilities right next to a river. So the river comes in, you got all the water that you need. You do it goes through the fish. You got your pre-treatment, and it goes back into the river. So we realized that we're going to have to downsize this whole project because it was just too expensive to bring to Michigan. So what we've done in the last couple of years is we've reduced the scale of this to now 3,000 tons of fish per year and about 1 million gallons of water. The reason that this parcel is so good for this project is because it's located directly across the street from the wastewater. So we're going to talk a little bit about some infrastructure that we'd like to build, for the community, not the least of which is a lift station, but that's what's required to pump that into the wastewater plant, right? So you got all this water coming in, and we can talk about water sources and whatnot, but we're at a point now where we've realized that we've got a pretty good business case now. It's going to cost a lot less for us to come in and make it. We'll talk about the 2 different use permits in a second, but I did also want to just pause to say, guys, I'm an open book about this whole project. This is super exciting. It's the coolest thing that I've ever done in my 20 years of professional life. Before this, I was with Johnson Controls. Before that, I was an infantry officer, did a couple of deployments to Afghanistan. So this is something that I actually quit my job to come work on this project because it's so unique. So I'm happy to stay behind for as long as you guys want to talk about this because I'm your fish guy, and there's probably nobody else like it in the county. The second part of this is that because we're right next to the Muskegon wastewater facility, that there's an opportunity for us to bring a couple more businesses to that parcel too. So these parcels, or this second use permit that we're going to talk about for the Food Reclamation Center, everybody saw the great news. We all know Fairlife is rocking and rolling over there in Coopersville. We saw the expansion. They're going to invest another $500 million into that facility. The wastewater plant's taking in a lot of that food waste right now. They just opened up the 23-mile force main from Coopersville, but there's still a lot of food processing waste that's coming off of Fairlife. So one of the technologies that we were able to identify to bring into this parcel treats that dairy waste, the high-strength stuff that they have a hard time getting into the pipeline. And what that does is, if I drink Fairlife milk, I don't know if anybody else here does, but it's lactose-free, right? So one of the things is that their food processing waste has a bunch of lactic acid in it. So we have a technology that we've brought in, or that we can bring in, that takes that lactate and turns it into the microphone. That lactate, turns it into a pelletized lactic acid, and we can sell that back out to food producers, cosmetics industry, people who use lactic acid. So the really interesting part about all this is that these businesses now kind of create what we're going to call the Muskegon Food Reclamation Center. At the end of the day, we're not really creating anything except for the fish, really. we're taking in this food waste and we're turning it back into raw materials. So these companies are looking for opportunities to grow, Chobani through La Colombe over here on the other side of the county. And then Fairlife, that announcement was over $1 billion of an investment. So we're looking at this as an opportunity now, not only just to do the fish processing, but to stand up some technologies that are going to take off some of the burden from the wastewater facility, and that we can turn that waste into, an actual raw material to sell back out. So what's been really helpful for us too is that the Greater Muskegon Economic Development team with Trevor and all that, we are certain that it's going to bring in at least 100 high-wage jobs into Eggleston County, and then at least 250 direct or indirect jobs from this development as well. So construction, all that sort of stuff. So we're super, bullish on what this is going to be. We don't own this land yet, just to be very clear with you. We have an option to purchase this from the county. I'm not going to purchase this land unless we partner with the township and everybody here that we're doing the right thing, that you guys kind of see the vision that we have, because I don't have all this locked and loaded ready to go. I need the use permits for us to now go to these companies and say, I've got a slot for you here, because Eggleston, believes in what we're trying to do here. The county believes in it, but I'm not going to buy this land until I get the go-ahead from you guys, obviously as the municipal government, and then also everybody here who lives in the township. All right, hit me with it.
Could you tell me the difference in what your operations are for the fish plant versus the waste treatment?
Yeah. So if you look at the land use plan, there's 2 parcels right there. The fish farm is kind of its own operating entity. It'll be a whole other operator, a company that comes in and they focus on that.
And that's in the green?
The green.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just make sure.
Yeah.
Also, I'm colorblind, so we tried to make these pretty easy for me.
Okay.
Yeah, parcel 3 right there, that's the Atlantis Devco, that's the fish farm.
Okay.
So we're proposing to push in a road. When you look at Maple Island there, that road that's going to the east.
Could you kind of adjust the microphone a little bit?
How about now?
It's got a little static to it. That's better. There you got it.
So when we take a look at the site plan, we got Maple Island going, obviously north-south. You got a road that goes east. Those dairy waste trucks, that's the road that they take into the food waste or into the wastewater today. We're proposing to push in a road to the west into the north side of that parcel, which would then be the trucking route. So effectively, the only thing that's going to change is that the trucks are going to turn west instead of east. And it's the same material that's coming into the wastewater today. And then there's a proposed road, which we're not necessarily sure where we have to put that north-south road that might connect into Broughton Road. It kind of depends on how big this food reclamation center needs to be. We can move that east or west with a right-of-way, but the main road that we really know where we want to put it is that proposed road there to the north.
I don't know if you guys all got up.
I brought an extra copy.
I've got the one off their website.
Pass this around.
Yeah,
The
I
green,
brought some extra
the
copies.
green is the fishery,
Around.
the blue would be the other facility he's talking about. You guys just want to pass that around? Everybody can take a peek at it.
Sterling, how would the food waste get to your plant? Would it,
Got another.
that would come in by truck?
Yes.
From the facilities?
Yep, so all this food waste that comes in today is hauled in, 8 to 10,000 gallon trucks. And those trucks,
Well, this is that.
I'll just let everybody take a look at it really quick. Yeah. And we're playing a little bit of catch up here.
Maybe you could explain it again once they all kind of take a look at.
You need one in the back?
I got a couple. There's,
I wish I had like a projector I could show you
I have it
guys.
on the screen up here, so you
Next time you do want to present, we can put up a projector
Okay,
ahead
yeah.
of time, and we can set that up.
So let me explain it again so you guys actually have a picture now in front of you. So what we're proposing to do is to put in that road there to the north side of it.
Could you speak into the microphone?
Yeah, we're proposing to put that road into the north side of the property. That's effectively, it's just south of the consumers right away anyway. So we would push that road in right there. That's going to be our road. And then the road that would be north-south that could connect into Broughton, might be the only other road that we put in there.
So you're looking for an entrance and an exit then? Or
They're gonna go back out that same one, the east-west road. So what's gonna happen is that all those trucks, you know, it's the same amount of traffic that comes every day to the, or less, because it's just food waste, but it's about 30 trucks per day for a 24/7 facility, so maybe one per hour. It's gonna go west into that new road, and then they're gonna have a turnaround opportunity
So
there.
all the trucks are gonna come in and out?
Yeah, White Road's not gonna be impacted. That might be an employee entrance for offices, but one of the things I made sure of is that there's not gonna be any industrial traffic coming, you know, onto White Road.
That's a
Okay.
great idea.
Yeah.
So can I ask, you keep mentioning Broke now.
Yeah, so on that, there's a proposed right-of-way, north-south right there.
Yep. I see
We've
it.
only templated that right now because it just makes sense if we just extend Broughton Road into the development. We're not sure yet, because we gotta make sure that we've got enough land there for all the, you know, the tanks and stuff that are gonna go on the property. That might shift a little bit right or left, or east or west.
Is that more for on-site use, or is that for,
Yeah.
you would actually be exiting onto Broughton Road?
No.
Can we save questions
Okay.
till afterward?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk for as long as you guys
This-
want. This has been my life for a little while, so.
If we save questions for afterward, then we can have them recorded properly and everyone can hear them. And then he can take the microphone and answer also.
So on that site plan too, I want to call out a couple of pieces of key infrastructure. One is because of this fish farm and, you know, some of the processed water from the food reclamation center, we got to send that back over to the wastewater, as I said. Again, it's about 1 million gallons a day, which is going to be great, you know, sewer fees and revenue for the township. But that's a lift station that, you know, we're open to talking with the township about what you guys would like to do with that in the future. So we're going to go ahead and build that. There's also a fire suppression, so we have to be concerned about, obviously, the fire protection side of this. So we're going to build a water tower right there as well, that would be open to the community too if they need it, so, yeah.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, so on the corner of White and Broughton, or that proposed road for Broughton, there's the lift station that we're going to build right there. And then we're also going to build a, you know, it's a fire protection water tower. Non-potable water,
Right.
but we've got a conversation going right now that we would probably be able to withdraw from the canal that's coming off the reclamation center, excuse me, the wastewater. So that's gonna be non-potable water. Potable water, it's something that we still have to solve for, quite frankly.
Right. And then is that the entrance to your property, that road, is that not too close to the right-of-way for consumers, or is that joining that somewhere?
No, it'll have to come south of the right-of-way for consumers.
And so I'm just looking at how they kind of intersect with Maple Island Road, and
Mhm.
it looks like it would turn into like a 5-way stop or something like that.
I see one of these pictures, yeah, all right.
Unless one of them joins to the other before they
Yep.
hit Maple Island.
Yeah, so you see that yellow triangle right there?
Yeah.
That's something that we're still talking with the county. This is the county's property that we're gonna buy from them, right?
Yeah.
So that's still a weird little triangle that we haven't figured out if we're gonna own it or if the county's gonna own it.
Roger.
And so we've got to figure out or come to an agreement because that's where it's gonna have initial access to that. So it ideally we own it so that we can do the maintenance and take care of it because it's heavy truck traffic, right? But that's still a point to solidify before we close on the property.
Okay.
Yeah. But that being said, it's a great question because we've talked about how do we make Maple Island safe right there. You know, in this first phase one, or what we're talking about today, there's no change in the truck traffic. I will say as a resident, I get a little nervous every time that I have to turn into that facility on Maple Island coming off of that. So whether it's a slow down lane or something like that, or, you know, I think that's something we'd like to talk to the road commission about. How do we make that intersection safe? There you go.
Thank you.
And so, this would be done in phases, so would it be the fish farm first and then the food reclamation, or are you doing them both together?
It kind of depends on how fast we can find our investors to come in, right? So
Okay, I see.
we do feel confident that we'd be able to do the food reclamation center first, only because I'm a little concerned about the availability of fresh water for the fish. You can't take that much water from our current well system. We have 0 plans to do that, by the way. I'm on well, I don't want my water being taken, so that's not part of it. but also the amount of water and the quality of the water. You can't raise the fish in, our current well water,
Okay.
frankly. So that's something that we've had some technologies come out here. Anybody ever heard of the term wildcatting? It's basically like you get to go, they used to do it for oil, or still do, but you can do it for water too. So we've had some acoustic sensors throughout the property try and get down. We think that there's a glacial aquifer down there about 400 feet, which does not get into anybody's well. That would be something we'd have to go through Eagle for approval for.
Okay, and then where do people currently bring that food waste that could potentially come here? Where are they going now?
They're either going to across the street to the wastewater, or they are going to Indiana. So these haulers are hauling this all the way to Indiana because we have nowhere for them to put it, or we don't know, and that's kind of an issue, right?
And then how do we, or what does the wastewater treatment do with that? Is it reclaiming it into something usable, or is it just being kind of wasted or processed in a different
Yeah.
way?
So the process today, I'm not a wastewater, treatment expert, just to be fair here, but I have been elbows deep in that lagoon, and I don't recommend that for anybody here. So today, what those haulers will do is they'll go over to the aeration lagoons across the street, and they'll turn their truck around and dump it right into that lagoon. And they'll be charged. They get weighed, at the scale going in. They dump whatever it is they're permitted for from, whether it's cherries or egg wash or whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
They'll back it up, dump it into the aeration lagoons, and then they'll get weighed on the way out and be charged accordingly.
Is that what that is meant for? Or?
I can't speak to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can tell you that's the way it works out there. I'm very familiar with the wastewater.
So it just kind of sits there.
Well, no, it gets processed through the wastewater and
Okay.
like any other wastewater.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not anything that we could use in the secondary market.
They've
Well,
looked at it a lot of times, but it's being used to fertilize the crops, which is a great use for the
Okay.
wastewater.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
So you're talking about making it go from just basically fertilizer into something usable by other industries.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is truly a sustainability play. So we're just basically trying to take that waste from going into just the wastewater facility, and then best case scenario getting applied to the crops. This isn't. When you look at the millions of gallons that go through that facility, food waste is a small proportion of it.
Mm-hmm.
However, there is high strength waste going into that facility through fats, oils, and grease. And so when that gets put into those aeration lagoons, that does not process very well through there. And they actually have to go out with cherry pickers and skim off the top, put it into a drying bed, let it dry out, and landfill it.
Oh.
In our facility, we'd be able to take that fat, oil, and grease, heat it up, spin it around, separate out the water, send it back to them. So we treat it for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then we take, there's black grease that comes out of that process that can be used for biodiesel, sustainable aviation fuel.
So a lot of the current waste that's being processed there is really just being buried, the end product.
Yeah,
Okay.
I won't speculate on that, but
Oh.
there is a process that anybody could go over there and see what those lagoons look like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's an opportunity for us to do better.
Okay. And then do you, so with that expansion for Fairlife, how much do you expect their waste to increase?
I'm not qualified to say that,
Okay.
yeah, because there's, I think it's about 1.3 million gallons per day coming through that new force main coming from Coopersville. That's a different type of waste than what they also have to haul over, which would include whey and some other stuff inside of that. So whey protein and that lactate. It's basically too thick to put through the pipeline there.
So what about odor
Yeah,
for both industries?
yeah. So the fish farm is completely enclosed, so that's not an issue whatsoever. The dairy waste, that because it's dairy waste, it's not so much, it doesn't smell like the wastewater does, to start. It's more of a sweet smell if anything were to get out. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it may not smell. It's an industrial facility, right? So we're doing everything that we can to mitigate that. That's the number one concern that we all should have about that facility.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best thing that I could say is that it's not going to smell any worse than the wastewater when you get an easterly wind, because it's the same material. We're just putting it inside of a building now, and so all those trucks can offload instead of into an open environment. They can offload indoors with us, wash them off, and so we can do our best. But
And it's not very often we would get an easterly wind anyway.
No.
In the with the fish, it's inside, but doesn't that still come out? Like,
Yeah, there'd be an indoor packaging and processing and packaging facility. It's all indoors, right? We all live in Michigan. We don't want to do any of this outside. And quite frankly, kind of the best way to describe it for food waste is that if you smell something, that means I'm losing money because I'm trying to keep everything contained within that facility, you know, to package it up and send it elsewhere.
okay. And it's not really. Well, let me see. It's not. There are residents around there, but it's very sparse. It's
Yeah, well,
like R5, so it's not really resident.
No.
yeah,
Try again.
There is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there is a trailer park,
Yeah,
and it's to the.
and a lot of residents.
yep.
Yeah, so-
It's right along a residential road. Like, let's be clear, guys. Like, we're not trying to hide the ball on anything. There's a 100-foot setback for any industrial facility that would have to go in. We have no intention of removing any of the trees within that 100-foot setback. But that's why we're trying to ensure that, or that we will ensure that all of that regular traffic coming into, you know, employees, workers, the parking lots, that's the only thing that we'd use White Road for. Maple Island, that's going to be the loading, you know, unloading route anyway, so we're not going to disrupt that side.
Okay. All right. Are you finished with your presentation?
I'm here until you guys don't want me to be
Does
here.
anyone on board have any other questions?
I do. So you said about 100 to 150 jobs?
Yes.
Okay, so you expect that traffic most likely to come down White Road? through
Yeah, well, and
the
that would be
residential areas?
probably 3 shifts per day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about the training? Will these be specialized trained people? I mean, are you gonna be able to find employees that have what you need to run this?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a couple of highly technical jobs, right, of everybody who has to come in and ensure that the chemicals are, you know, there's like a recipe basically to make sure that we're heating it appropriate. So there's a couple of engineering jobs, and if anybody here's an engineer, let me know, because we are, you know, there's all kinds of jobs to be hired here, but a lot of them would be just regular high wage, you know, good jobs. And so this facility, you know, it's a campus kind of setting, right? So we're going to have maintenance, you know, security, all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, there's the whole stack of types of jobs that would be here.
Did you say that was 150 direct or indirect jobs?
Direct.
And then how many
250 indirect jobs.
in addition to the 150?
That's correct.
All right.
Does your company currently have any businesses that are out there that,
Nope.
okay, so you're a brand new company?
We're a
that-
startup.
A startup? Okay.
Yeah, right there in
Okay.
the Muskegon Innovation Summit today, right downtown.
All right.
Yep. And this morning I was at the, pardon the abbreviations, the WMSRDIC, that's what they call themselves, West Michigan Regional Shoreline Regional Development Committee. There's an agri-cluster commission that we are participating in this morning. There's a heavy need right now in the food producing industry. If you guys will notice, there's 4 parcels here, right? So we only have a plan for 2 of them. I would love to create something like cold storage for our producers. They got to be able to store that something, you know, their food when they're done harvesting for the year, or bring in a food producer here at Eggleston. You know, obviously, those would be separate use permits, but we got another 30 acres here, you know, to bring more business to Eggleston.
And you did say this is gonna be operated 24/7.
Yes.
And are there any companies out there that are currently like changing that lactic from another dairy farm or, you know, another milk product that are changing into what you're, you know?
No. So this would be the first company doing it in the United States.
In the United
Yeah.
States.
Yep. So there's a couple of important things to call out here. This is new technology, right? And so nobody is converting this dairy waste into the pelletized lactic acid. It's incredibly exciting, and that's what would draw a lot of the heavy investment. It's gonna cost a lot of money to build this facility, 9 figures. So when we talk about the jobs that's going to create, you know, we're going to be held accountable to making sure that those jobs get created, because we ultimately have to justify the investment. And if we don't do this, you know, the way that I see it is that food waste continues to come into the facility, those companies expand, less companies come into West Michigan as food producers because they have to now truck it to Indiana. Muskegon County Wastewater is at capacity for this. I'm not the operator over there, and we can bring in DJ or whatever we'd have to do, but to expand, you know, the food waste intake there is difficult. So we're trying to relieve that infrastructure.
What other places internationally do this? Like, how have you? Who's done this before?
How did we find this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about these are all niche communities, right? And so I have a business partner from North Carolina. His name's Bob Selby. We'll bring him here as soon as we can. He's actually here just last week, but so he was the one that found the fish farmers. This is in addition to GMed helping us find some of these companies. So Trevor Friedeberg and GMed have been sending companies our way. Like Muskegon is the only place that you guys can do this sort of business because of the wastewater facility.
Oh, wow.
Because remember, that fish farm, now that we've scaled it down, is 1 million gallons of water per day that has to go into that wastewater. That's the equivalent of another Fairlife.
Wow.
So there's not very many communities that can do that because we're not guys, we're not going to make a ton of money on this because it's fish farming. So it's like $7 a pound to do this.
Is that because of the wastewater's capacity to take that?
Why is it expensive?
Yeah, no, you said it's not able to be done anywhere else.
It's because that wastewater facility is the only thing like it in the world. I don't know if you guys understand. I don't mean to say this, and to challenge anybody's intelligence. The freaking astronauts use that as a landmark. That's how big it is. It's 5 billion gallons. It's awesome.
19 square miles.
So, it was built back in the 70s to accommodate SAPI. I see this as my opportunity to help the county and to gentrify the original usage of that, bring in more revenue for everybody because of the wastewater that we have to put into it, and take out the high strength crap that's going into it so that we can bring more businesses to Muskegon and get more usage out of that.
I was curious about noise, refrigeration, will there be a lot of
Yeah.
external noise?
So I'm not prepared to answer that question right now because at this stage in the process, we're here for a special use permit. We're going to have to go through the actual site plans and all that when we're ready. I can't buy this land without a special use permit, and I expect everybody else comes back to those meetings that we can talk about what this facility is actually going to look like. But I can't scope that out and spend darn near $10 million in trying to design these facilities without a special use permit.
Thank you.
Give any thought to the horse trails out there?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I live on Wilson Road. If anybody knows Dale and Gabe Miller, they're my neighbors. So we live in a horse corridor right there. So first and foremost, yeah, I don't want to disrupt that. But this is development that they are currently have trails that go through there. So first thought is that on that parcel 4 over there on the west, there's some trails that go there. Those will be undisturbed. We can give them access. I have no plans for that parcel 4. So if they need to get somewhere, let's leave that alone. And plus, you'll notice that there's a depression that goes down there. That's tough dirt work if we have to do anything with it. So we're going to leave that green space for the foreseeable future. Also, we're going to be clearing some land. I'm going to have some forestry mulchers out there to push in that road. I don't know if anybody represents the the equestrian facility. Use my forestry mulchers. We'll go improve some trails together. And, you've got the heavy machinery that you guys are welcome to use. And so yes, but I haven't spoken with anybody yet, and it's not because we're hiding anything. We're so early still, right?
If we don't have questions, then we could have the audience speaking for any questions you might have.
Just make sure we get their name and address for the record.
All right, thank you so much. So if you want to just step to
Yeah,
the side.
step to the side, yeah.
Have a seat up here if you want. That way you can talk to both the audience and the board if needed. Does anybody have any questions? Please come up to the mic, state your name, address for the record, please.
Wesley Scott Decker, 7034 East White Road. Obviously, Muskegon, all that other fun stuff. I'm probably going to become the most disliked guy in the room here because I've got something bad to say for probably everybody. So first and foremost, I'm going to fall on my sword and admit that I was probably one of the original people that was working with the county to help develop that land. So all my neighbors can be mad at me for that. But in 2018, when it was a completely different planning board that completely, in my opinion, ignored the community when we said, no, we don't want that zoned I-1, and mainly because the offsets are ridiculous. I would ask everybody in the room, do you want any kind of industrial facility 100 feet from your house?
No.
I know I don't.
No.
And I've been paying taxes for 23 years at that location. And it's going to cause some problems. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I'm going to bring, and this is, again, I was a school teacher for 25 years, and so I don't mean this offensively, but everybody's heard there's no such thing as a stupid question, but I've also used to say there's no such thing as too much information. So in my reading of the I-1's ordinance, because in the ordinance, the zoning ordinance definition, slaughterhouse is not defined, we must now go back to the Webster's Dictionary definition, and the Webster's Dictionary definition of slaughterhouse is an establishment where animals are butchered. And also under Webster's Dictionary, fish are animals. Well, that's pretty obvious, right? So if you are processing fish on this property, as the ordinance is written, not slaughterhouses on I-1. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I want to say, I mean, obviously the biggest thing is the offset. I do not want this 100 feet from my house. And neither do the other 11 houses that are directly surrounding, or probably the 16 adjacent houses. So we're talking about 27 people's houses. So with that in mind, I'm going to read something here, and hopefully Sterling, being a fellow veteran, can appreciate this as it's based in the Constitution. The takings limit. The primary constitutional restriction on zoning is the Fifth Amendment. A local municipality cannot make zoning so restrictive that it renders the property useless, known as the regulatory taking, placing an industry nearby if it constitutes a permanent physical invasion, as in visual, noise, sound, lighting, smell pollution that infringes on the quiet enjoyment of the breach of the sanctity. And as I mentioned, these 11 directly affected homes and 16 adjacent homes. This is not copacetic. Okay, it's unconstitutional, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I did swear the oath. And the other thing that I have for the board, again, just information. Now, this is a commission. I'm saying board, but I mean commission. The commission should make sure that, Atlantis Blue accepts all financial obligations that would result from the placing of this facility adjacent to these homes. No citizen in Eggleston Township should want the township to be financially responsible for any lawsuits or financial burdens that are directly the result of this facility. That's all I got to say, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, go ahead. I'm not sure.
My name is Bill Brown, 7119 White Road. My concern is odor. Us people who live on White Road, Brooks Road, Maple Island Road, we have to deal with the wastewater. The odor sometimes will make you sick to breathe it. You can't sit in your yard or porch and enjoy the nice weather because we got a terrible odor. So we're going to add another odor on top of that in our area. We don't need that. I mean, for me, I think it'd be coming from the west. I get it from wastewater on the east. I'll never have good fresh air. And second of all, I'm worried about the water table, because this is going to take a lot of water on what they're doing. And there's a possibility we got to dip in our pockets and get a well driller and drill deeper for our water once this goes in. And I hope you guys take that into consideration. I'm sure, you're probably not as concerned as we are that lives in this area, but we're deeply concerned about this problem. And I hope that you think it over really good.
Hi, Donna Eckert, 404 Whispering Oaks, if you need it. My thing is quality of life in Eggleston Township. And I think this would really be a detriment to our quality of life. We have a lovely area here with a beautiful lake, we have trees, and we have horse trails, and we have all these things. We've got a big, huge wastewater plant, or wastewater. Why isn't it going over there? What is it doing on White Road and Quarterline? The other thing is, you talked about Fairlife and the Chobani. Those are at industrial parks. You're sitting this thing right in the residential area. And I don't think that's going to work. How much acreage is this thing supposed to cover?
The parcel's 90 acres.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
You know, and then when you said water tower, no, we don't need a water tower here. We have water here. You're just wanting to take that water. And I get it. I've been all over the world and I've seen fish farms everywhere. And they're all different. I've been in Thailand and I've been in Japan and I've been everywhere that they do fish farming. So this is not what I would normally see when I was traveling. I guess that's it. But it's quality of life. We have a beautiful area here. What are we doing? Why are we going to do this? Doesn't make sense to me.
Thank you for this. To start with. And Dean Snow, 88 North Maple Island Road. My grandfather purchased that piece of land in 1940. My family's been on it ever since.
Can you speak?
My concern, pardon?
Can you speak into the microphone?
My concern
Thank you, sir.
is the well, okay? I have a very unique double-pointed well, and we have fantastic water. Now, that being said, you said it was 90 acres?
Mm-hmm.
I've got 9, you can have it. It's not enough. Why are we building another road? Why did we settle on that strip of ground when we have, like she said, what do we got, 5,000 acres out there?
It's cool. I don't
It's a
know how
lot.
much they have. It's huge.
Why
Yeah,
there?
it's
Why not in the middle of the wastewater? Where your smell can travel and you can see it's not me, it's the wastewater. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the fish farm is gonna be completely indoors, is that what I understand?
Yes.
Okay, and what is the plan for the removal of the guts
It's called
though?
the offal. Coincidentally, it's called offal.
Okay,
Yeah, to back that into a loading dock area to put it into those trucks. And at this point, it's blood and guts, right? And so it'd be all in a contained, in vats basically, and pumped into those trucks.
and where's that going?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah. So there's the food waste facility, which would be able to, do you want me to speak into
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Come on up.
Yeah, we can share the mic here. So, yeah, in that food waste facility, there's an opportunity for us to bring in technology that would basically put this all into the tank, into all the food waste going into the tank that's not dairy, and then to digest that and to create some natural gas out of it.
Okay, with that being said, let's go back to the lactose.
Yep.
You wanna, the lactose from Fairlife is presently coming over and being dumped into our lagoons, correct?
Correct.
And some of it's going to Indiana to other wastewater facilities?
Yeah, not
Or
necessarily.
companies that are,
There are companies doing that, yes.
there's our companies doing that, so it's not, you're gonna have to bid for that lactose from Fairlife?
We're gonna have to go secure that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's not a guarantee, but
Right.
this is the second phase that you wanna do?
Yes.
Okay, now, you said you were going from, now if I got this wrong, say so, 70,000 fish a year to 33,000 fish a year?
7,000 tons to 3,000
Okay,
tons.
7,000 tons to 3,000 tons.
Mm-hmm.
And you can still make that economically
Yes.
viable for your business?
Because the size of the facility would be smaller.
Okay, do we already have plans on expanding the size of this facility?
No. The fish farming is not a very profitable, thing. So that's why part of this is part of this is the due diligence, right? If we get the use permit, we can now go into conversations with the township, for example. Every 1 million gallons of water, right? every cent that we're charged by the township and the county to send it over to the wastewater, you know, is meaningful, right? And that
Well, that was my next question.
we don't
the-
have that figured out yet.
The tax implications on this, is this gonna be the county's money or the township's money? Do we get a share in that?
It's
I don't understand.
Well,
the tax revenue of the wastewater.
the tax revenue of the wastewater, are we getting a share of that? Do we get a share of that? No.
It would go in, well, we would have to approve any of the site plans that would hook into our sewer system. If we did, it would go into our sewer system to maintain the sewer system. So we don't make a profit, the sewer system doesn't maintain, or make a profit, it maintains, it charges enough.
It needs revenue to operate though,
It
right?
does, yeah, it has to cover the cost,
It's gotta cover the cost.
yeah.
So, and we'll be able to recover our cost before the county gets to recover their cost?
No.
Is that how that works?
Hang on, guys. I'm building the lift station, the sewer line, the direct connect
Okay,
to the wastewater.
so that's what my question is, so that goes to the county right to start with, it doesn't go into our
No.
our wastewater
Sorry,
system?
just let me finish the thought here.
All right.
So I'm going to build a lift station, send all that wastewater across the street. The county's going to charge me, you know, the current rate right now is $3,400 per million gallons of water. That's without, you know, any organic material in it. So that's why we're incentivized to treat it as much as we can. And then Eggleston can put your township fee on top of that. No investment required. So that's all tax money that goes to government, and I'm footing the bill for the infrastructure because I need that to operate the business.
And you're building a water tower
Well,
for your use?
so there's a couple.
Are we
Sorry, this is-
gonna have an opportunity for the fire department to be able to use it, like that kind
Can
of
you
thing?
speak into the microphone?
Are we gonna have opportunity for our fire department to
Yeah,
use it for
yeah,
our?
for sure.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know about the
So
water
then-
tower.
I've got a couple. Yeah, I got a couple things to clarify when we're all.
All right.
Yeah.
You said, earlier you said glacier water. You was talking about drilling 4,000 feet, is that what you said?
So that's part of 400 feet. And
Okay,
it's
400
an
feet.
aquifer. So that's part of the clarification is that this is not anybody's well. Everybody's well here is 50 to 100. Mine's 141 feet, and down here in Fruitport, that 400 level layer is nobody's water right now that they would be using today. So.
Yeah.
That's something that part of the due diligence is working with Eagle to get that permitting. Eagle is aware, you know, from people trying to work on this for 4 or 5 years, that that would be a requirement. None of this is going to get off the ground until we find that fresh water. We know it's there because we sent all this wildcatting technology to try and do the sonar. We're confident that it's there, but this is not well water that anybody's using today.
I don't know how old these guys' houses are, but my well's like 38 feet.
Yes.
And most of the people in the area that don't have a 4-inch well still have a 2-inch well, right? Are in that 34
Can you
feet,
speak into the microphone?
that 34-foot range,
Yeah.
okay? So that was a concern, was the well. But you're going 400, so you're looking
Way
for a different
past that.
aquifer than what
Yes.
we're, okay. I'll have more questions later.
Let's keep them going, yeah. Can I?
Thank you.
Yeah, you can probably,
Keep going.
Did you need to answer, someone?
No, I got a list. This is good. This is very good.
Yeah, my name is Mary Brown, 7119 White Road. We already have PFAS in our water. What are you going to be adding to it now?
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
yeah, you can have that, yeah.
So we're not we're not taking anything and putting it back into the facility. So that water, that waste, so this food waste is highly liquidy, and so that, first of all, we're taking all the organic material out of that. That's what creates this raw material of lactic acid and whatnot. So that's coming into the wastewater today. That's going to go through all those lagoons and get piped back onto the field. That's what's happening today. If we take that in, we have to pre-treat that before it gets back over to the wastewater, and you better believe PFAS is part of that. Activated charcoal, making sure. Eagle is not going to let us do anything and pump it back into the wastewater if there's anything inside of that in terms of PFAS and other chemicals. It's what's in that wastewater. I mean, guys, it's just being dumped into those lagoons today. So, and I would make the argument that we're making that cleaner before it even gets into that facility. As for the fish farm, fish can't live in PFAS water. It's just the truth, which is why I have to find potable drinking water, well, potable water for the fish's sake. And when we talked about, just because we're talking about water, you can go ahead.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, because we're talking about water right now, it's come up a couple of times.
I'm not done.
Okay. First of all, I love this because I can finally engage with you. You guys might hate me right now, and that's okay. But this is a good country. That's why we did what we did, and we're having a good discussion. So let's keep talking here. All right. So for the fire water, that would be coming out of the canal, and we had a conversation with the fire chief and said, hey, it could be a tower. It's not going to be Fruitport, right? We got the stupid smiley face water tower. Well, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a few hundred gallons for fire suppression is what we need for this facility. And what we're saying is that can go above ground, below ground, I don't care where it is. We need a ton of water there for our sake. And if fire chief needs it for anybody on White Road, it's sitting right there too. They got their tanker trucks, right? That's what we all benefit from, the tanker trucks, and they've got their own tank over there to fill them up. All we're trying to say is that I need fire suppression on that facility. And if somebody's got an issue on White Road, you guys can access that too, and we'll fill it right back up from the canal. So, in terms of an eyesore, that's where we'd come back to the planning commission and say, look, here's the size of the fire tank that we need based on all the industrial requirements. Let's put it in the ground. Let's put it, above ground. It's not going to be a smiley face water tower, just to be clear. And I don't know if anybody's thinking that. But water's incredibly, incredibly important to this. And I would not be able to stand here today. And, we got all this crap going on with data centers, Nestle, everybody's trying to take the water, and it's not doing any of us a favor. I wouldn't be standing here today and say, like, I'm going to take everybody's well water. I'm not going to look at you guys at Meyer and be able to, to live with myself. That's not what we're doing. You got to go 400 feet down to find the clean water, and it's going to be outside of everybody's well fields.
Where's the canal?
Yeah, so if you look at that diagram, on the northeast side, the upper right corner,
Across this Maple Island.
that's the canal. That thing, well, shoot, on a low day, that thing's doing 12 million gallons a day. Right now, it's probably 25, 30 million gallons per day flowing through that.
Is that the dash line going into the agriculture?
No, it's outside of that. It's the darker, like, elbow, right? It's creating an elbow
You
shape.
want this thing pointed?
Oh,
Yeah,
this.
thank you.
It's this right here.
I want it back.
Yeah. You can have it. I'll give you my card and you can come to my house. We'll do that. All right, so it's this elbow right here is the canal. So what this is when you look it up, we call them just crop circles, right? The irrigation
Can you
fields out
speak
there.
into the mic?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying. So what the facility does now is that when that wastewater comes in, essentially it filters all the way to this canal. It goes into the Muskegon River. This canal dumps up into the Muskegon River. There's monitoring stations right there. Eagle's monitoring that every day, for obvious reasons, make sure that there's nothing in it. What we're talking about doing is trying to come to an agreement with the county where we can just take some of that non-potable water for fire suppression purposes and some processed water for the facility, washing off trucks, whatever you need to do. That would not be the drinking water, but it's an easily accessible water source right there.
If that canal is clean enough to go into the Muskegon River, it's not clean enough to grow your fish.
I can't speak about the quality of the water, but I don't want to raise fish in that water.
I got a couple
Go
questions.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So, a couple questions. First of all, again, obviously, I'm way too familiar with wastewater.
Sure.
And I'm the guy that did the algae harvest out there, by the way. My company did that. So, that's not all the time year round though. They store the wastewater during the winter to use for during the summer. So that canal gets pretty dry in the wintertime. So what are you going to do? So you're going to try to store it up in the summer so that you have enough supply, or what's the plan there?
So, even in the wintertime, that low point's 10 million gallons a day coming through that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, from the percolation probably.
Yeah, just off the groundwater, it's coming into there.
Because the ponds seep. That's what a lot of people don't understand. The ponds are just big sand pits and they seep.
Yes, sir. And so, we're thinking for that fire suppression, hopefully we never need it, right? And hopefully anybody else needs it in the community. But it's going to be a few thousand, or I don't know how many thousands of gallons, but that's what that water tank will be for. I don't necessarily need to pull it out all day, every day at, tens of thousands of gallons. That's part of the due diligence here of how much processed water do I need to rinse off trucks and, not drink, right?
And just so everybody knows, because like I said, I know way too much information about the wastewater. one of the other fabulous things about the wastewater is the water that leaves the wastewater doesn't go directly into Muskegon River. It goes into the swamp, which is a natural water filter. So that's why it can go.
Thank you for that.
Right? 100% yes, which is why I've got to get my act together from Eagle, because once you start messing, you would know this, once you start messing with established wetlands and pulling water out of it before it gets there, that's where the county, we, Eagle, all have to figure out, is it enough water to actually impact that wetland? We have no reason to believe it is, because whatever fire suppression we need is going to be a drop in the bucket, quite literally, compared to 10 million gallons per day. But that's, we should hire you to come do our due diligence. I know you don't like me, but.
It's not that I don't like you, I just don't want you so damn close.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. You can, yeah.
Brenda McGinnity, 7133 Zach Drive. I'm just on the other side of White Road. I know they've beat up the water questions and everything else. Some of my concerns are you're talking about.
I'm sorry, can you adjust it?
Trying.
The bottom part of it.
Yeah, there you go.
We good?
We'll figure
All
it
right.
out. We're all right. Thank you.
You were talking about the blood and guts and the fish disposal that you're going to have in vats and that. Obviously, there's going to be a smell to that. Is that going to bring in other predatory birds into the area? Because that's one of my biggest concerns. And if it is like dumped into the wastewater, there's going to be some kind of something left from there
Yeah.
as well.
You did it.
To a very
You
general.
did a good job.
So what is the plan for that?
Yeah. Is there another question?
There is, and then you're also saying that your traffic will not be it won't be increased from where it is now. But if you're going to put 100 to 250 employees over into another facility, they're going to use Maple Island. We've got kids that get on buses. I tried to turn into my road off Maple Island, and some days it can be a struggle as well. There's going to be increased traffic. That's a given. If you're putting more employees in there, they're not going to use Broughton Road to enter that facility. Most of them are going to probably come down Maple Island and turn down White.
Correct.
So I wanted to point that out as well. And then if this fish facility fails, what are the plans from there? Is there cleanup from there? Are there other plans if this process doesn't succeed in Eggleston? Okay.
Thank you. These are really great questions. Yeah, in terms of the food processing or the fish processing, look, again, I'm not going to stand here and say that every hour or every minute, every day, nobody's ever going to smell a fish smell. I can't 100% say that. Nobody can guarantee that. What I can say is it's going to be an indoor facility. And so that's the best that we can say right now, right? So that's it. In terms of the traffic, look. Sorry.
Good luck with that.
Maple Island is a mess. Just to be clear, all the way from I-96 up to Fremont, or that whole area, people are freaking insane on that road. So I absolutely hear the concern there about kids and school buses. When we add on, when you look at the daily traffic, I don't have a traffic report. It's a heavily trafficked road. So it's not 250 employees, it's 100, 150 that we're anticipating, 40 to 50 per shift. I don't think that's a significant amount, but to my point from earlier, that intersection of truckers, the haulers, these are all Muskegon businesses, by the way. I am heavily concerned about that intersection, that nobody gets rear-ended doing something stupid at that intersection, because, again, it's happening today. They're turning east instead of west into what our facility would be. I think there needs to be a slowdown lane or a turn lane for those truckers to get in safely, or I'm not a traffic guy, right? That's what the road commission's for. It's where we got to engage with them to say, does that warrant a stoplight? Nobody's going to want a stoplight there because nobody wants to go to speed limits to begin with on that road. But
There are two of them there.
yeah, but you should put some speed bumps and see what happens right there. But the point is, your point is well taken about White Road will get more employee traffic. I'm not going to dispute that. I don't think it's going to be impactful to the total amount of traffic on Maple Island. I'm even more concerned about the industrial traffic that, as it is today, a couple trucks per hour going in. somebody's got to take a look at that intersection because it is a dangerous intersection today. So,
But you're talking trucks just for the fish facility?
no, I'm talking about
Or
total
the processing
truck.
facility? Because you're gonna have two different facilities, you're
Right.
gonna have trucks coming in and out.
Yeah, the truck, the fish processing or that fish farm, it's a couple of trucks per week. You know, so it's not going to be a ton. No pun intended. But there's the current truck traffic coming into the wastewater today. It's about, I'd say maybe 30 trucks per day at all hours of the day, so 1 or 2 per hour. That's what we're talking about coming into this facility. It's just being redirected. So that being said, I'm trying to be extra cautious about what that intersection even looks like because now, you know, yep, it's just there's industrial trucks right there. So that's my response. So. Oh, I didn't respond to your stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
That's just gentleman.
No, go ahead. I might as well do it all.
David Colwell, 446 Hazel Court. So we're kind of beating a dead horse here, but I'm going to go back to a few of the issues. I want to start with the odor. So you haven't built a facility like this before, right?
I haven't, but
Your company
the
hasn't.
operators that's coming in has. It's
Okay.
called Freya Solutions.
In the United States,
Correct. Well, there's one in Oregon. It's on the Black River in Oregon. but-
which they built.
Yes.
Okay. And did they put in some kind of odor scrubbing technology in that plant?
That's what we would come back with about what's the recommendation here for Muskegon.
Okay. So
I'm not 100% certain on the answer to that, for what they did in Oregon.
you're not 100% certain that they can do it or that they would do it?
That they have done it in Oregon.
Okay. So
We
you
can
don't,
do it. There's no doubt about that.
you can scrub the air.
Yeah, we can put in the ventilation systems. for it.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
there's
when
no
you
doubt
have-
about that,
When you have fish, you have odor, and you have dead fish, you have dead fish odor.
of course.
Okay, so that's my first concern. My second concern is the first plan, or Plan A apparently, is to find this glacial aquifer to supply the water, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, and what's Plan B?
Would be that canal right there
Okay, and that water in the canal is coming from where?
from the wastewater.
Okay, so have you tried yet to find the glacial aquifer?
Yes,
Okay, and you haven't found it?
we have.
You have found it?
Yes.
Okay. And is the glacial aquifer that you found somehow connected to the water source that feeds Wolf Lake?
No. Wolf Lake is much higher than that. It's not 400 feet deep. The
Well, I understand the aquifer is not,
Yeah.
but the aquifer
There's no
moves,
connection.
moves up and down.
Yes. I
Okay,
understand, yeah.
and you have, there's evidence that there's no connection between this glacial aquifer that you found and the water that supplies Wolf Lake. 'Cause I live on Wolf Lake.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm obviously
Yeah.
concerned about
Yeah,
pumping water out of any aquifer that's going to affect the lake.
yes.
Okay, so you're saying that,
We
That
have
there's
no
no-
evidence to support that aquifer is in any way tied to Wolf Lake,
okay,
but I'm going to come back with a hydrology plan.
with the
to show-
hydraulic plan, okay. My third question is you keep referring to a special use, and I guess the special use is because this is zone I1 right now?
Correct.
Is that right? Okay. And it's not a permitted use under I1?
Correct.
That's right, okay. So you're here for a special use permit under I1, okay. Well, as I read I1, and I'm not on the commission obviously, but it's not an enumerated special use under I1, so you would need a special use for a non-enumerated use, land use under I1. My question, or one of my questions to the commission, and one of my things I would encourage you to do is to look at why this is not being proposed for R5. Because R5, which is agricultural, specifically refers to fish hatcheries, animal and livestock farms, and that's what this is. This is an animal farm, basically. It's a fish hatchery because you're saying that at least part of the job that you're going to do is take fish eggs and hatch them into fish and then
Correct.
process the fish. So R5 is the appropriate zoning for that kind of work, not I1 and not I1 special use, because the township's already passed an ordinance that says this is where this kind of business is supposed to go, and this is not an R5 district. So I have some real concerns initially before we get to aquifer or odor or anything else that they're not even in the right district. Okay, so thank you.
Lois Koval, 446 Hazel Court. My question to you is actually two questions to it. You talk about the fish is non-profitable. So I guess my first question is, why are you doing it then if it's non-profitable? The other thing is that you have to be taking out bonds, I'm pretty sure, to get all the money to do your project. So if you're non-profitable, how are you going to pay those bonds back? Are we going to end up with, tanks out there, you go belly up, and we got a mess out there?
So, a point of clarification, we're not saying that it's not profitable, we're saying that we're not here to get rich on fish farms. So, you guys can look into the economics. The amount of capital required to come build these facilities is substantial. I mentioned in that previous facility is $175 million or so. This one's going to be, a third of that or so. So I'm here to make money. Like, just to be clear, I'm not trying to hide the ball on anybody. Like, this is what makes our country great, is people coming in trying to do innovative things and piss off some people in the process. But we might figure it out or we might not. So we're taking on the challenge. We don't take out bonds. There's not going to be government money coming into this to pay for the capital. This requires investors and potentially grants. For example, the governor just released a grant competition today for $1.8 million to do scoping studies of this sort of thing, to do industrial decarbonization, whatever. A lot of buzzwords. What it basically means is that the government does put out grants for us to go in and apply to those sort of things, to go see if we can even do this, because it is something new. It is something that creates food security within our region, creates a little bit of energy security too, from the food waste. Look, there's grants. It's not bonds, coming from you guys, per se. It's grants from the state, which I pay into that too, just like any other taxpayer money. But this is something that we're going to rely heavily on grants to try and get off the ground. We do have investors who, there's an industry for everything, right? There's a recirculating aquaculture conference that happens in Florida in May, which my business partner is going to go to and present that this is a potential opportunity, if this passes. And I'd like your guys' consideration on that with the impact here. But there's people that invest in this, and it's kind of crazy for us to think about if we don't know anything about it, but people are passionate about this industry. So it's not taxpayer money. There's people who just invest in sustainable business practices, which is what this would become. So, this will be a profitable venture, undoubtedly, which means that we can pay things like property tax and income tax, which would go to the tax base here in the township and to the county and to the state as well, just like any other business.
I don't have a question for you. I'm on Google Maps trying to understand where people live in
Could you give us
relation.
your name and address,
Oh, sorry,
please?
Lori McDermott, 75 Hubbard Woods.
Okay.
So I live on Wolf Lake, so I was concerned about the aquifer thing too, but I'm trying to understand where people live in relation to this. Are most of them across from White Road? I'm looking on Google Maps trying to see where everybody's living. Is there, do you have that would be awesome.
Which one Julie?
I'll speak on behalf of you guys. You guys obviously know where you live. There's four residential parcels just east. I don't know if you want me to point it out, but there's 4 residential parcels just east, 3 of which are occupied.
Just go.
There's the people that live here too.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm an open book, guys. We'll talk about this. So, right here is our subject property. It's the parcel. There's 4 parcels right here, 3 of which are occupied. There's a DTE pipeline. Yeah. There's a DTE pipeline, as you know. It goes right through that into the property, which is one of the advantages for this parcel, is that we can direct connect into a DTE pipeline, don't have to pay the cost for that. So there's everybody else here, and again, you guys know your houses, obviously. The residents are on the south side of White Road, and we would be here to the north of it.
Okay, that helps.
So
There's also residents behind those people on the south side, which is that, right? There's 4
yes,
there.
yeah, this whole area, right?
Yeah.
This is some county property, I believe, right there. But on the south side of White, there's people going down those roads. And then on the west side too, there's the equestrian
And you have
farm
the
there.
trailer park.
And trailer
Well, you
park
said
east.
one of the benefits of that parcel was the pipeline. What pipeline?
There's a DTE natural gas pipeline that bisects some residential lots and then comes into that parcel too, that we're looking at.
There's also a pipeline that goes straight across the wastewater system, right?
Yep. Same.
Yeah.
That would be
Yes.
beneficial to you? to move to the center of the wastewater?
You know, look, the reason that we're here to talk about this parcel is because the county was selling it, and the unique proximity next to the wastewater facility is what made it interesting for us. So, as we look at what that wastewater looks like, you know, there's a land bank that you guys all know about in the county, and so people can come in and take a look at what's for sale, and this was, you know, an important piece of property right here because of that DTE pipeline, because of the consumers' lines that come across, and the proximity to these lagoons.
So there's like three proximities. There's the natural gas pipeline, there's that channel, and then there's the proximity to the wastewater. That makes this
It makes it unique.
more advantageous.
So, go ahead.
Oops. Scott Chase, I live at 4365 Nicoleland Drive, just off White Road. So I've got a couple comments. I've only got one concern. So I'm not for or against this thing that he wants to do, but he said he worked at JCI, Johnson Controls. So as we're talking about looks of the facility and things, I drive down White Road every day, and ever since they logged it, I think it looks like shit.
Yeah.
So I think coming from Johnson Controls, and I used to work there, if you've ever seen any of their facilities with the green spaces and the mounds and the trees, even though it's going to be close to houses, I think it could look much better than what it currently does. The other thing, we keep talking about a water tower, so I believe when he's talking about fire suppress water towers, a lot of the buildings I go into have fire suppression, which is the water that he needs. Those are more like silos like you see in a barn. Sometimes they're inside, sometimes they're outside, so you're not going to see the big water tower per se. My concern is mainly the traffic. I come up here every year and I fight about my taxes and the nice smell I get from the wastewater and the nice smell I get from the grow facility. And now we might get some fish smell. It's trout fishing weekend, so I'm hoping to get a lot of that coming up anyways. Off White Road, if you ever drive that with all the nice curves and everything, it's like a racetrack. So if we add these employees taking White Road, I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about coming off Broughton. I'm concerned about the truck traffic on Maple Island. Maybe move truck traffic to Swanson so it stays away from Maple Island Road. Because that's a road that, I mean, we could have the trucks go by, and then if this is something that ends up going forward, how can the township get more involved in getting revenue from it versus when we put the wastewater in 50 years ago and most of that revenue goes to the county? So we lost all that property out there and we don't really get nothing from it. So those are things I hope you take into consideration.
I will just, I'd like to make a comment too on if anybody's ever been to the Sun Chemical facility over there, they also do have, a water holding area, and it's basically a large tank that's embedded in concrete. It's roughly about 10 feet, 12 feet off the ground, but that holds enough water for the fire department for suppression for that entire facility. So when he talks about that, that's what I was thinking that he was talking about, and not a water tower like you explained out in Fruitport. Because I would like to see that as well, especially with residential homes. But Sun Chemical does have enough water in that holding tank to suppress their entire facility, and that's a lot larger than what the proposal is for this.
Our fire department right next door has an underground tank for suppression. You don't know it, but it's there. Yeah. Right around the back sometime you'll see the hump in the ground. Okay?
I just have one question that wasn't answered,
Sure.
and that's going to be with the odor and influx of different birds, because with the wastewater,
Right.
you have a crap load of birds over there.
Yeah.
You're getting fish smell, you're going to get a different breed of birds over here. What are we looking at?
Yeah.
And I like seeing the eagles.
Yeah, I'm a bird hunter too. I train German Shorthair, so I'll take care of them for you.
Pelicans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know it's good bird watching over there, and I'm saying that in jest, but that's part of the design of the facility, right? Is you make that as enclosed as possible, and look, I say this just because I'm open and honest and transparent. I'm not trying to hide the ball on anything. I don't believe that there's going to be significant fish smell coming out of that, because that's what we can engineer into the entire site plan. But I'm not going to promise you that it's not going to smell like that. That being said, the birds that might come in, I mean, yeah, that's a consideration of that we'd have to take into the engineering, but it's not, I just had, sorry, I raise pigeons for my bird dogs. I get eagles in my backyard too, and like, I'm highly sensitive to that sort of aspect. But when you get smells coming in from there, maybe, but.
This would be different breed of birds though.
Coming into
Predatory
fish?
birds?
No, there's many birds of prey that are over there right now, eating ducks and all, whatever. So they've got really ospreys. These are the things I know about now. They put in a bird nesting box that they talked about yesterday, that they just got a new resident with an osprey, I think it was. So these things are over there already. I do appreciate the gentleman's comment about, Johnson Controls. I have no comment about them as an employer, but I'm not talking about trying to bring in, no offense to Sun Chemical, but an industrial facility like you think it would look like. I'm excited when we get there to show what those design plans would look like. Even these, these holding tanks that we're talking about, we're talking dark greens, dark blues. We're not talking about cement, just ugly infrastructure. We're talking about muted colors so that, I'm a forestry guy. I want to blend into the facility. I didn't log those lands, first of all. The county came in and sold that timber. I would have liked to have it, but
The county did that?
they did the
It wasn't
land.
even Sun Chemical, or sorry, it wasn't even Johnson Controls that did it?
No, JCI is totally out this. I'm talking about over at the parcel. They thinned out those trees for a timber sale.
Oh, at the parcel you're looking at?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
sorry,
okay.
I'm all over the place.
I'm
But
sorry.
so yeah, they did a timber sale. I think it was last year or something like that. So it doesn't look great. But I'm not trying to come in and build, what you would think about for an industrial facility. I'm not trying to say it's not going to be one, because it obviously is. But there's a lot of new design considerations that you can take into these facilities now to, it's a 100-foot setback.
So this fish waste, even though you're putting it in tanks, it's going to the wastewater?
The wastewater out of that we would be able to take that fish waste and put it into one of our holding tanks to digest it, to break it down.
Okay.
That creates a little bit of natural gas, which is nice and beneficial, which is why that DTE pipeline is helpful for us. But that wastewater, the wastewater with the fish residue, the offal, we're basically being able to treat that on site in those tanks, capture that energy, and then carry on with the rest of the water into the wastewater.
Got it.
So one of the phrases that I really haven't used a lot, the vision for this is called industrial symbiosis. And what that means is that I'm taking in all kinds of waste, quite literally from Traverse City, Alpena. Companies are trucking that into our facility here in Muskegon.
This is not the fish facility.
This is just the food waste.
secondary facility.
That's correct. This is just the food waste. You guys, I didn't know this until I looked into the project, but there's companies all over Michigan coming to dump this into Muskegon. It's good money, it is, but it's not the best use. We're trying to come in with technologies to take that food waste, where the companies will pay us to take it. Those are tipping fees. That's how I also fund the project. We take those tipping fees, helps fund the project, create some bankable money for me to actually have, a baseline of revenue. Then we take that waste, basically dilute it and take out the raw materials. We sell the raw materials and then put that wastewater into the Muskegon County infrastructure the way that it's supposed to be. So what I'm hearing today is honestly for me, it's a lot of engineering and design questions. There's 100 feet is 100 feet. I can't engineer around that. But we can place our buildings appropriately. I just can't do any of this until we get a permit so that I can I'm not gonna buy this land if we can't get a permit. It's just the truth. And if you guys, stop that from happening, this thing's dead in the water. But I believe that there's a lot of upside here. There's 100+ jobs. I'm not going anywhere. My wife works in Fruitport. I live in Fruitport, and I would love to go to work every day 6 miles down the road on Maple Island and make this happen. So I'll stay here for as long as you guys want to, and I know that you guys aren't going to like it, and we can disagree on that. But I'm here to try and make this happen, and if it doesn't, then it doesn't, and I'll go find something else to do.
Will this come to the vote to Eggleston?
Well, yeah, eventually, not tonight.
Right.
Right, yeah, but, eventually, we're gonna have to put it to a vote, yeah.
I have another question. What is this gonna do, putting an industry into our tax structure and our home values?
I I don't know.
That would be an
Honestly,
assessor
that
question.
That would definitely be an assessment question, you know, for the county assessment.
Amanda Fano actually would be better for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But there's gonna be an impact, that's why I'm asking.
There would be, yeah, and I couldn't comment whether or not it's positive or negative, so.
No, you say you're gonna vote on this, but not tonight?
Correct.
But the planning commission's already approved it, correct?
No,
The
no,
planning commission hasn't approved it at all?
no.
No.
Nope. This is just an
No,
open
just-
forum so that, you know, you guys can get information.
Do we have
you
a-
can answer
Do we have
questions.
a calendar of moving forward? How long are you gonna play with this before you decide you're wasting too much time on it?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, the next, I mean, I think it's 3 weeks because of the election. You guys don't meet again until the 12th.
I believe, yeah, May 12th.
I mean, and if you guys want to meet individually, I'm more than happy to do that, but.
I'm gonna say something nice first, and then I'm gonna ask you a question. All right? So again, too much knowledge about the wastewater. The part that he's talking about on the secondary facility, as somebody that is way too intimately familiar with the wastewater, it will make it smell better. Because part of the problem is all those trucks that come in, it's not even like residential or any industrial waste that comes in the wastewater facility has to be pre-treated and has to make sure that it doesn't have certain nasty things in it. And residential stuff, it's just, we all know what residential stuff is. The industrial waste that comes in the truck sucks. I mean, there's no other word for it, it's garbage. And if you take all that, if he takes all those solids out of that are not what it's really, that's not really what the wastewater is designed to be used for. It's just a supplemental income because the wastewater is so low right now. It used to be profitable because we had so much wastewater could grow the crops. So that's a good thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. Inside baseball.
Yeah, for sure.
You got 6 months left on your purchase agreement. Isn't that not correct?
Yes.
Okay. So there's your answer to timeline.
Yeah.
My name's Ed Fox. I live at 6436 White Road, just down the road from where you're going to be putting this in. First, I want to compliment the whole group here. In this country, I'm surprised, pleasantly surprised. This has been very, what's the word for it? It's very cordial, and I think it's been a good discussion. I came in with my biggest concern, and I guess I'm beating a dead horse here. I think I've heard you say that it will not have any impact on, I have an 85-foot well.
No, absolutely not.
Okay. And even if you have to get the water out of the ditch?
Yeah, out of the canal. Right.
Out of the canal?
That's not your groundwater.
That still would not have an impact.
Correct.
And what if it does?
If it does get out of your well, if it does impact your well,
Yeah.
it won't.
How can you guarantee that?
Because this aquifer, so when you look at the profile, the hydrology of Michigan, you've got our wells, my well included, down to 150 feet or so. There's clay and sand and sandstone, and you have to drill through bedrock to get to that aquifer. It's a totally different water source.
Okay.
So, I mean,
I thank you for saying that. That explains a little bit. I have a very rudimentary understanding of if it goes that deep, but what if it does? Because I've heard stories, Nestle said that they weren't going to drop the water table, and they did. But this is different from that, I suppose. So, anyway, thank you.
Where are you gonna get your water for the employees to drink?
Yeah.
Using bathrooms? Where's that water coming?
So I talked about potable water, right? That's still a question to be answered for. So, so in conjunction with the fire suppression, right now it seems like the best, the most streamlined solution is to build a water tank for potable water, and we would truck that in from city water. It's just as simple as that. I'm not going to sit here and talk about major infrastructure projects, about bringing city water out and getting, your guys' water systems up. I'm on a well, I don't know, I'm not here to talk about that, but we would be a reason that if you guys wanted to do that, we could do it, and I don't know. But for us, I can't, that's a major tens of millions of dollar project to bring municipal water out this way. I'm just gonna truck it in. And I think it's about, you know, a few thousand gallons per week for washing hands for 100 employees and bathrooms and that sort of thing.
Why don't you just drill a well like we have?
Draw well?
Drill a well. Drill a well.
Yeah, we don't want to because we're not certain about the groundwater in terms of the quality of it. And Eagle won't let us do that. I mean, I'm on a well just like you guys are, and when we start talking about permitting for wells and all that, first of all, we just talked for an hour or so about us not impacting your well. I'm not going to drill a well to impact your wells, right? That well field's going to have to be about 4 acres large for our facility, so I'm just not going to do it.
We have about 6 different areas of contamination in our well water. So that's a major concern in the future. And it's getting worse.
You probably should be concerned now.
We should be concerned now. Although we have a lot of people that don't want to get off of well water, and it's going to be a major project and expense to get municipal water. That is the answer to getting people safe water. I bet if we started testing all the wells, and a lot of wells are like over 50 years old, people are not putting filters on them, and there's a lot of like septic tanks that are aging and leaking, and we're wondering where PFAS comes from. Well, it comes from a lot of household products. Where's that coming from? We think it's coming from the fire department or so whatever, but we have so much PFAS from our own homes leaching into the water. We have also some chemical. We have Ryerson Creek has heavy metals. We have the water wastewater plant that's leaching across Maple Island. So well water is actually a big concern. We need a long-term plan to get off of it and to get people safe water. Yeah.
So adding another industrial big place is going to help this?
Yes, I'm going to take that
Yes.
head on. I'm going to guys, I'm going to take that question head on. I'm just going to put a stop to that concern. We are making that wastewater coming into Muskegon better going into the wastewater because I'm taking out lactic acid. I'm taking out all kinds of BOD, biological oxygen demand. I'm taking a lot of crap out of that water, literally. And what's coming out of the fish facility is coming from that aquifer. Again, we still have to do the due diligence to get this. This is what the special use permit allows us to do, because I'm not going to put any money into this until I get that permit. But that's coming out of the aquifer. We're going to use it to raise some fish. We're going to try to make it as odorless as possible. Those are engineering questions. That water is going to go into the wastewater. It's going to get treated. It's going to go back into our water supply. That's the circular side of this. So this is not a sun chemical. I can't be any clearer about this. It's just true. I wouldn't bring it here. I gotta live here just like you guys do. That well water that you guys are concerned about is my well too. So it's a highly, highly important. And Eagle's not going to let that happen anyways, right? Eagle is a 4-letter word, right? In the state to try and get companies going. They're all over this facility right now. Not ours, the wastewater. So anything that I have to do has got to be stamped and approved by Eagle. Take that for what it's worth. But this is zoned industrial. It is an industrial campus, but it's a food reclamation center. That's not a marketing term. It's the fact that I'm taking that waste and doing something good with it. And you don't know me. You can take my word for it. I wouldn't have quit my job to come do this if I didn't believe in it.
Does anybody know how many millions of gallons of wastewater puts on the ground a day?
12 to 17 million.
There you go.
12 to 17 million.
And it's
you're going to add another million to that?
Yes. I mean, water. Yeah.
So the wastewater is designed to support 48 million gallons a day. So, and it's actually has a negative impact when it's low. It's not good when it's low because it can't work the way it was designed. And it was designed for SAPI, and so it's running way below. And again, Sterling thinks I don't like him, I just don't want him next door. I keep saying this. But what he's saying is true. That crap that comes in those trucks is exactly what he's saying. It's crap. It's the most disgusting part of what goes into the wastewater, and they're doing it because they need the revenue because we don't have SAPI anymore, and the wastewater is running below capacity.
Is it above Eagle standards?
Oh, well, geez, yeah, it has to be. I mean...
Well, why isn't that, every one of those trucks tested when it opens the valve?
They are. They do. They suck them off, but I mean, it's... I don't know. You see if you can say it. I don't know how to explain that.
This is a good thing for just us all to know about as residents about what happens over there. Like, exactly what you just said is the business case is what's happening, is that we need to fill some revenue because SAPI closed down. Bottom line.
Yep.
So I was there 2 weeks ago. Part of my due diligence that I can do without any special use permits is go in there. I was literally taking samples of this stuff coming out of the truck so I can send it to Michigan State and say, what is in this? You know, is this even good for us? Because if it was just water and something that's not beneficial to any of our processes, this is not even a project, but it is. So examples of what comes in there, West Michigan Beef Company, it is a slaughterhouse that uses processed water to wash that out. That goes right into there, right? So it's that, it's egg wash, it's cherries, it's the Fairlife stuff. The coolest part about where we live is that this is a diversified food production region. The only place in the country that is more diverse than this is California. So the reason that businesses like mine might work, if we get the approval, is that we have consistent food production waste being created all day, every day from a variety of different industries. So when you are interested in what's going into the wastewater, which we should all, as citizens, understand what's going into that wastewater. And I'm not going to tell you that you can drive over there and just take a look, but you could drive over there and take a look if you really wanted to. And look at the lagoons. On top of that, you know how like you make a Christmas ham? Sorry, I'm on a roll right now. So you know how like when you make a Christmas ham and in that pan there's fat, you know, that's sitting on it?
Yeah.
Go look at those lagoons. It's just sitting right there on top. That's why they take a cherry picker, scrape it off, go dry it out in drying bed, send it to the landfill. See, you got locked out.
The janitor probably locked everything out, so when we leave.
So it's not just the dairy waste, it's the fat, oil, and grease that I talked about. It's that West Michigan Beef Company waste. All that's beneficial to our facility and to those digesters because it creates natural gas naturally. The smell, again, the food waste side of this, what I was saying earlier is that if you smell something, it means we're losing money because I'm trying to capture all of that. It's an anaerobic process that happens that creates methane, which is the primary component of natural gas. I'm trying to contain all of that instead of just letting it happen in the lagoons. That's the part of this.
So why are you even bothering with the fish part of it? Why don't you just do the lactose part of it?
Because that fish offal is good for that process because it's biological material. It's organic. So, and it creates more jobs. I mean, that's where a lot of those jobs are coming from, is that fish facility. So we came into this project, the reason I gave you guys a history lesson at the beginning is just to understand that we came in here 5 years ago with a plan to be fish farmers, and that's still on the table at a reasonable scale. What we've found in the process is that there's a regional infrastructure issue that we can help solve for them and for us, you know, and that's ultimately, in a nutshell, my elevator pitch, is that we found something in the process of this project. And I'm sorry that the property is where it is, and that's, I don't want to be your neighbor.
This is what I was doing with the county before you showed up.
I know, I literally don't want to be your neighbor, but the uniqueness of this parcel, you know, nobody brought up light pollution. I'm concerned about light pollution, right? Because it's a 24/7.
Oh, I did. It was in there.
Was it?
Is that it?
Okay, sorry. You had a lot of complaints.
Did you propose for Muskegon County for you to go over in the dump area?
Go to the dump?
Yeah,
Okay.
over to the property over there, the wastewater.
No. You could, go ahead.
You want me to help you out?
Yeah.
So the problem with going over on the other side of the road, as I mentioned, the lagoons are just big sand pits. They seep. If you go out to the lagoons, you'll see all the way around the lagoons, there's a seepage ditch. And that's specifically to catch the wastewater that gets out of those lagoons. And then that's processed. And there's quick, I can't remember, I'm not remember the rapid infuser.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while, if you drive out the main gate, you'll see all those dry areas that are kind of shallow. That's the rapid infuser. They take that water that seeps out of the lagoons. That's the only chemical process out there. They make sure it's okay, and then it goes into the rapid infuser to get back into the groundwater table. if he puts a fish pond near it, nope. They're all gonna die.
Yeah, well, and it's exposed to the elements, but
Right.
the reason this parcel, as I said before, is important because natural gas comes through, electricity comes through, and then I just have to create the wastewater connect, through the lift station, which, to Benja's point, if at some point in the future, we're gonna spend $2 million building that for our facility, and we have no problem letting the community tie in for sewer if you guys wanted to, which would help eliminate some of this PFAS issue, or at least remediate some of it. So that's out of my purview, but we're gonna have it, so it's an option that's on the table. You guys should really go over there sometime and ask for a tour. I'm not trying to.
Behind my house, so.
Yeah, I mean, you're.
Buy me a beer, I'll take you.
I'm not trying to, by no means am I saying anything that they're doing is wrong. We're trying to keep everything in operation in Muskegon County because of SAPI going down, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a more responsible way to do it, and the location of this is just, it is where it is, so we can talk more about that.
What's the sizes of both of those facilities?
Yeah, so on the parcels, the fish farm, we've got it templated now. I think it's about 100,000, I want to say it's 100,000 square feet, but we have, what is the acreage on that, for that parcel, the green one?
And what is that in comparison to?
32 acres? It looks like 32.
Oh, no, that,
254,000 square feet is the green parcel.
okay, but the actual building that's gonna go on, that's gonna include, parking
It
lots.
looks
and all
like
that,
the
but-
green one is 21.5 acres and the blue one is 32.32 acres.
Yeah, tons and tons of green space in there too. This is not a Coopersville Fairlife facility.
I know, I
Yeah,
go
that
by it
thing
every
is-
day. I work
yeah.
there. I am a quality engineer, so.
Okay, great. Yeah, great questions. Yeah, so like I said, a lot of this too, it's not the smells and the lights, and many of this is engineering, and I'm confident about that because of what I just talked about with the industrial symbiosis of that food, blood and guts, right? It's going to smell unless we've got it engineered to go into these digesters, which is the intent here. So the number of trucks coming in, it may not even need to be trucked out because it's just going to go right into that digester. But those are all engineering things to solve for, and like I said, what we haven't solved for is just the location, and that's the thing that we have to talk about.
Did you say you were gonna cap the gas that's made from the waste product?
Yeah, so there's a really awesome technology called anaerobic digestion. So basically you just think about it as a recipe. You get all these organic materials, you get dairy waste, which one of the other things, I can't wait to show you guys this design at a certain point. But when I talked about it creating lactic acid, you're pulling the lactic acid out of that dairy life food waste. What's left behind is sugars and fat. That's really good for these digesters, just like the fish offal coming into it. And then when you add in cherries and everything else that was going into Muskegon, it creates a very efficient process to create methane. You take that methane, you scrub out, or it's a biogas, but you take the methane, you scrub out CO2 and water that's also being created with it. And then you can scrub that and create natural gas. So when we talk about energy security, there's food security through the fish side, and there's energy security where we won't even go into the geopolitics with energy right now, but this is something that we'd be able to contribute to energy production in the United States, specifically in Michigan, and kind of secure this regionally for us too, through natural gas. So there's a lot more sophistication, I think, than what we originally started with in terms of this discussion, but I think the net of it is that the only thing that new coming into this would be what the fish facility is doing, but we're taking that waste and other waste that's coming in from the region to create some natural gas and some other products. So if you're ever in East Lansing, or Coopersville actually has a digester too, it's basically just a giant tank with a membrane over it. And these are, they're maybe...
Is it anything like the digester in Fremont?
It is similar to that.
Is it gonna be that size?
It's similar to that, yeah. So that is a mess, right? That Fremont.
I was gonna say, drive by that, not one person in this room is gonna be for this.
Yeah, that Fremont digester, that was a mess. And the reason was because,
Coopersville is a great.
yeah, well, yeah.
Well, that's
the
that's a whole other story.
That's the landfill, yeah.
Yeah.
So the Fremont digester, the reason that thing went under and was such a mess is because it was a California company, then I think it was a Canadian company. They were not doing the sophisticated. They were taking all kinds of things. They started with Gerber, right there in Fremont, bringing in the food waste there. And then they didn't know what they were doing. It wasn't creating anything except really some electricity is what they were trying to do. It wasn't making them any money. And then they started accepting things that were like, fish oil caps with the gelatin. They were taking, there's no value to that. But they were trying to take the tipping fees in. We'll take this waste in. They weren't concerned about what you're actually doing with it. And the whole thing imploded. And then it became a whole political mess. So that facility, it's ugly. There's no doubt about that. But it is just a couple of tanks is ultimately what that technology is. There's way better ways to do that. Michigan State has its own digester. We've hired for our owner's engineer. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a digester guy. I'm not a lactic acid guy. I'm a developer. That's what I do. And we've hired now literally the best engineers in the world. He's speaking at the United Nations next week about biogas and what you can do with it. He's now our engineer for this project, if we can get it off the ground. So Fremont is important to acknowledge that was a digester in the area. There's 72 digesters in the state of Michigan. Most of them are dairy digesters where you just put in manure and all that. We're not taking in manure. That's not what we do. A whole other conversation related to that, right? Manure is not very good for natural gas. So the uniqueness about this project is that it's the food processing waste that makes it consistent and predictable. But the only thing I did like about that, those giant tanks were dark green. And they really, at least, some design was in that, so.
So the setback people are concerned about is it's 100 feet from the road, is that what I'm understanding?
From their property.
From their property?
Mm-hmm.
How far from the road is it? It looks
100
like
feet.
it starts right.
Because the 11 people that I was talking about I'm talking about me, my neighbors, the other side, and everybody across the road, because you're going to look at it.
Okay, there's no way
If
not
they didn't do that timber sale, it would have been a lot easier to hide it.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't get me started. I had an argument about that too. But there's nothing we can do about it.
I'd rather look at forest than a building.
Okay, does anybody else have any specific questions for him? Come on up, sir.
This is a question. You mentioned.
Name, please.
I'm sorry.
Robert Meitner, 7071 White Road. You had mentioned about light pollution.
Yep. So another engineering, consideration. That's something that, again, I'm not going to hide the ball on any of you guys. I think you brought up light. I didn't hear it, but
That's all right. I was talking fast. I'm used to doing that.
me too. But that's why I'm addressing it, is because I don't want you guys to come, 6 weeks later and say, what about the light? That's something that we have to design for. Just the nature of natural gas being created here, I got to have some security around it, right? So that's where I want, to engineer the lights to be pointed in an appropriate direction. I like living out in the middle of nowhere. That's why I live where I do today. So this is all about balancing the impact of building something with your guys' quality of life. So it's something to consider. It is.